just Lancaster and Lidditz, Pennsylvania. Everywhere you get your podcasts at 4th and 1 Pod, all spelled out. Instagram, everywhere except for TikTok. Shout out to the TikTok listeners. If you are listening, at 4th and 1 Pod is where you get us there. They like Makai's hair the most over there. They think my hair is greasy, and I think their mom is fat, and that's what it is.
Oh, yeah, just real quick before we jump in, I just want to say to all the listeners out there who listen to us,
shout out, hold on. Shout out to that one Spotify commenter who commented on Spotify. You the real MVP. Thank you. Makai, go ahead.
Oh, I did not see that. Yeah. They are the real MVP. I just want to say this. Listen, your moms are nice ladies, but if you're going to come at us on the internet, we're going to involve your mom. Okay? And we'll always be nice to your mom, but I'm just letting you know. Okay? You come after the king's going to get your mom involved. So I just want to clear the air there, because on YouTube someone said that my top knot was gay. And so obviously I had to respond and said, that's not what your mom thought last night. You know, just the standard. Another one I think that I will probably use is your mother would be very disappointed in you. So
just immediately with the guilt.
Oh, immediate, dude. I'm not messing around. Like, I'm going right after guilt. And listen, if they have a bad relationship with their mother, then, I guess joke's on me.
Listen,
we'll go to your dad.
This podcast swings both ways within its insults.
Whoever was your motherly figure, they're disappointed in you. I'm just pointing that out.
Figure. JW11689 at tkschools.org gave us a shout out, which is totally a child in high school.
Hey, let's go.
So, way to be. Micaiah, I just got to give you props. You did a great job on the half episode, is what you're calling it. You could have called that a full episode. 30 minutes is fine. You kept it succinct. You did a great job. Riverside messed up your mic volume at the beginning. Don't let them keep you down. Just keep doing it.
No, I did recognize it was too loud, and I actually turned it down myself.
Way to be, producer Micaiah, coming in clutch.
Thank you. I want to give another shout out to North Dakota State Bison.
The Bison.
They defeated Montana State.
Yep.
8. Am I still there?
Yep, you're still there. Oh, what? Oh, now he's back. Oh, there he goes, and he's gone. They defeated Montana State in the FCS championship, is where Micaiah was going to go with that. And if I was good at my job, which we all know I am not, I would actually have the Purdue. Let's just Google this. North Dakota State football. They defeated Montana State last night, 35-32 on, as Isaiah Punts calls it, a failed. Yep, you heard me right. A failed punt. Make sure he's not just sitting out there. He should be able to come right back in.
Oh, well,
there he is.
That was the weirdest thing.
Now we're talking. I was just telling them that Montana State, the Bison North Dakota State beat Montana State. The Bison beat the Bobcats 35-32 on a failed punt with 30 seconds to go. As Isaac Punts, puts it. Micaiah, did you know this?
I watched the game last night. Great.
In Texas.
Great national championship game.
Dude,
the Bison took their opening drive 8 minutes. The clock didn't even stop once. Not out of bounds. Ball didn't touch the ground. Nothing. So great national championship game. Slow start for the Bobcats. Second half really turned it on, and then North Dakota State kind of just held serve, as it were. I'm not really sure what's going on with my internet. A whole bunch of screens are freezing, so I think that's what happened there.
Last time you restarted the computer?
Well, I had to shut the power off to the house today to do some electrical work, and so
So
I
you
had to.
definitely effed up something, huh?
Oh, you think?
Oh, I have no idea. Hey, Makai, do you know how many overtime games there were in the bowl games this year?
1, 2?
Eh, More than more than two, which is a bit odd to me.
Okay.
The one game that I missed, and granted this was like forever ago. We're talking about bowl games that like do not matter. Was the Pittsburgh Toledo game went to 6 overtimes?
Oh, that's right. One went to 5 overtimes, I'm pretty
Another
sure.
one went to 5 overtimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a lot. Let's just Google
The
Control F. That's the
Texas Arizona State went to 2 overtimes itself. So I mean, I was about to say none of the college football playoff games went to overtime, and then that one did go to overtime. So that was nice and fun. Do you want to talk about the college football, the quarterfinals at all?
you did such a good job. I was
Yeah.
thinking to myself before we hopped on. Northern Illinois, Fresno State went to OT. I'm trying to find all of them.
USF, San Jose State went to 5 overtimes. Northern Illinois, Fresno went to 2.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess it's more of like a preview that's coming up
Okay.
down the like to me it was great like but it was also everything that I expected. I lost $10. I assumed Boise would do something. You gave us you were a very mean person on the podcast last week. You said that sorry, on the podcast last week, you were talking about the group chat. We were expecting better O-line play, really. Me and not CFB3 were expecting better O-line play from Boise State. That just wasn't there. I watched a good amount of that game on New Year's Eve. It was on the second screen while I was watching Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. And that's just how my New Year's Eve was. And I watched a little bit of this game and a little bit of that game. The Texas Arizona State game I turned on at the end because surprise, it actually was a game.
Great
That was
game.
That was the one that I wasn't expecting to be a game. As not CFB3 joins us after his 15-hour long day at the office.
Cheers.
Hello.
And to be quite frank with you, Notre Dame's very impressive, and Ohio State is scary. As a Michigan fan, I now fear the Buck.
Yeah, the playoff has left me rooting for the SEC, which I just downright hate. In order, Texas, Notre Dame.
Yeah, like
at this point, Penn State and then Ohio State.
I have to either root for the number one Michigan's number one rival. He's eating a snack. What do you think he's doing? Or he's popping his in, maybe.
I'm sorry. I just got home. I'm hungry.
Even I had a little snackety snack, Micaiah, brought to you by Ritz. Free advertising. I have to root for Ohio State, number one rival, Notre Dame, debatable number 2 rival of Michigan, or Penn State. Pennsylvania Michigan fans' rivals is Penn State.
Yep.
And that leaves me Texas.
Yep.
Who beat Michigan this year.
Yep.
I'm not having a good college playoff.
Yep.
Listen, if I could have watched no other game after the ReliaQuest Bowl in the swamp that was Tampa Bay that day, I would have been okay. If that was all the football that I had, I would have been okay. But here I am, and now I have to decide if I want Notre Dame or Penn State to win.
It's the greatest 2-game stretch in the history of Michigan football.
Listen, preach, brother.
I don't. The fact that they beat Ohio State and then followed it up with Alabama as 3-score underdogs in each game with the offenses that they both possess, that was just, and the more so the lack of offense that Michigan did not possess was most impressive.
Someone needs to call Jerry Gensler and make sure he's still okay.
Who's Jerry Gensler?
Sorry, hold on. That is the chair for the SEC. Greg Sankey is the current commissioner of the SEC. I'm sorry. I didn't trust the Google AI.
Oh, listen, he'll get louder. He will he'll get louder if Texas if and when Texas gets bounced on Friday night.
Here's the funny part. Gary Gensler is the chair of the U.S. Security and Exchange Commissions. Maybe don't name your conference after a U.S. I don't know. Move on. You want to talk about this week's games now that Robert's here?
Sure. Well, you can. Rob, did you have any thoughts on the quarterfinal games before we move on? I did a little podcast episode myself, so I got all my thoughts off the chest. You got anything? Are you eating a cookies and cream bar? What you got going on over there?
Like.
Cookies and cream, baby.
Is it full size?
Nah, I cheaped myself out and got just a normal size person
Okay.
bar.
All
You know.
right.
So he can move normal size, so a mini?
No, the normal size.
Full size, not king sized.
Yeah.
That's full sized.
All right. Full size king, like king size is a full size for me.
All right.
'Cause I'm a king,
I was
you know.
gonna say
So
for you, yeah.
yeah,
After I can't climb stairs, as you're
yeah.
suggesting.
I needed that so I could get up these stairs. I don't really think there's much you can really say about like that. I could say about the quarterfinal games. I mean, I was pretty close when I said that if Ohio State comes out and just airs the ball out to Jeremiah Smith in the beginning of the game, Ohio State's going to be in good shape.
Well, you were
And
right.
they kind of did it,
Yeah,
and then they just blitzed. I think they just found their formula, and it is going to be a rough next game for Texas, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, Penn State beating Boise State, we kind of figured that was going to happen just because Penn State's defense was eventually just going to bottle up Genty, and then after that, it's kind of like, what does Boise State have? I mean, that game was kind of close, though. Like, that last touchdown was kind of a garbage time touchdown.
Penn State and Pittsburgh play the exact same football. They score like 19 points, and then somehow their defense, who just always has better athletes for some reason, just shows up. Their quarterback is mediocre at best, and they somehow stumble into the playoffs and lose in the first round. And lo and behold, here they are. We're in the college football semifinal at the Capital One Orange Bowl. And they're going to take on a number 7 Notre Dame team who, quite frankly, looks a lot more scarier than any of the other opponents that they faced.
Well,
and Notre Dame, Ohio State in the finals is a very high possibility. Quite frankly, spoiler alert, my favorite here.
Notre Dame's pretty much, they've played football they have for the past like 8 weeks.
Say it, Robert. Say my phrase.
You know, they found that which part? They found out who they are. They know their identity.
They know who they are.
Yeah, I mean they've just been playing the same, and it's been under the radar. And now everyone's like, oh, Notre Dame's really got something here, huh?
Yeah,
and it's like, well, yeah, you know, after you lose to Northern Illinois, and they kind of righted the ship. They were like, that's not happening again.
Two things on this just real quick. Yeah. Notre Dame beat Georgia with defense and special teams. Their offense, I don't even know if they had 200 yards of total offense on the day. And second, out of all of this conference realignment, wouldn't it be hilarious if the national champion was the team that isn't in a conference?
The UConn Huskies?
It would kind of suck, actually.
It would kind of suck, yeah. But Notre Dame would be like, see, we told you. After they got hate on for not joining a conference, it worked out for them.
Notre Dame had...
Did I send you the thing?
Waiting for the things
about Notre Dame? Because by winning their bowl game, like Ohio State, Texas, and Penn State they get rewarded money like $5 million or $10 million for winning, and it goes to the conference. Well, because Notre Dame's not in a conference, it just goes all to them.
Oh,
that's how they got their NBC money.
Huh.
Yeah, Notre Dame did have 200
passed for 90 yards. And they rushed for 154.
Yeah, so they had 244 total yards of offense to Georgia's 300. They had more penalties than Georgia. They did have 3 more time of possession, but Georgia had 2 turnovers, especially the one right before half, the strip sack. They were trying to go down and get some points. So go check out the half episode. That is the one right before this one. Just go ahead.
Here's the interesting. This is such a Notre Dame Midwest football game, because look at the third down efficiency. Notre Dame went 4 for 14, and Georgia went 2 for 12.
Yeah.
You're 100% correct. This game was a defensive game, even though the final score was 23-10.
Oh, Rob, what'd you think of Gunnar Stockton? Because I think there's a lot there to work with.
Yeah, I mean, what hurt Georgia wasn't the fact that Gunnar was kind of fresh, kind of green. It's just the fact that they didn't have a run game. There was no threat. Because if they Trevor Etienne is the great value version of his brother. 100%.
Travis Etienne is one of the biggest recent busts, so I want to go that.
Yeah, but at least in college, though, college-wise.
Fair.
Yeah,
Okay,
he was excellent in college.
Yeah,
now, I guess their backup, that's what, Frazier?
It's either Frazier or Cash Jones. Yeah, one of the two. Cash got a lot of work.
I like Frazier more than Etienne, but they just when they get a run game going, their quarterback benefits so much more because obviously they're, you're bringing your safeties up, everything like that, and then you can really throw the ball. But he kind of didn't stand a chance because at Notre Dame, their defense was kind of just flying all over the field, and so
that's been all year for them, which was the shocking thing to me.
The
lack of Georgia's running game.
Yeah. Well, and we said that, I don't know how many weeks we've said that if they had a run game, they would be a lot better and would benefit more. But yeah, I mean, he's going to have he should have more opportunities. But the other part that really isn't good for Georgia is the fact they don't have a wide receiver. For a team that is as dominant as they've been, to not bring in any wide receivers is kind of surprising. Now, they did bring in Branch.
Ring, 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 ring. Michigan's calling.
Well, yeah, because we don't necessarily have a stud wide receiver either. But Zachariah Branch, I believe, signed there.
Yes, Zachariah and his brother, Zion Branch, also the safety signed.
I mean, that helps.
Yeah.
A lot. It's,
They also
start on the ground.
They also just landed Noah Thomas in the transfer portal.
Yeah,
wide receiver from Texas A&M.
I mean, that all helps Gunnar as long as they keep it with them.
They got to figure out more importantly, they got to figure out their offensive line. Their left tackle was a problem every single time I watched Georgia, including last whatever day that was, Thursday, against the Fighting Irish. Their lack of talent on that left side led to the strip sack right before. Then right out of the half, it led to a sack again on Gunnar. So much so that they benched him, moved the right tackle to left tackle, and reworked that offensive line mid-game. So they got to figure that out. But this was the first time, or this was the first year that I can kind of confidently say this, where the SEC does not have a clear advantage on the lines of scrimmage. It's kind of, no matter who they played, it was kind of more even. And this is what the transfer portal and NIL kind of does. It reshapes things. Now we'll have to see if that stays true with the roster limit coming in that's going to go into effect in July. But
find me a position that the SEC has the advantage in right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's probably hard. Maybe.
I mean, out of the 4 teams, I would say Quinn's probably the better quarterback out of the 4 teams.
Yeah.
But I mean, running back wise, that's either was it Julian Love?
Jeremiah
Love. There's too many Loves in this world.
Yeah.
Or, Katron Allen or Nick Singleton. Wide receivers, obviously, Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
Tight end is obviously, what's his nuts from Penn State, Warren.
Oh, yeah. The offensive line is probably
Penn State's or
probably
Penn State.
Probably Penn State. Penn State's got a good offensive line. Well, we're sleeping on Notre Dame's offensive line because what do? All
Well,
game
yeah.
long, they lean on people.
I mean,
Yeah.
their number one export in recent years has been offensive linemen, in my opinion. Maybe that's just me remembering Joe Alton, no one else.
It's like, other than Joe, I don't know who else was
I
there.
don't know, but I always feel like when it comes when they're doing the player previews for NFL games, it's like, oh, I bet he went to Notre Dame. Yeah, it's like I just feel like you just run into a fat white guy. Yeah, he went. To
I would
Notre
say
Dame.
just because he's like a really big white dude
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they're all go to Notre Dame. I
It
mean,
looks
majority,
like Shane
yeah,
Gillis,
but
Notre Dame.
yeah.
Rob, what you just sent in the chat, very interesting, and this just plays into why Notre Dame isn't in a conference. And I'll bring the listeners in. By advancing thus far, Notre Dame will bring home at least $14 million. $4 million for making the playoff, $4 million for advancing to the quarterfinals, and $6 million for advancing to the semifinal. The Big Ten divides its distributions equally. So Penn State and Ohio State each get $2.2 million. From the current pot. The SEC's model is performance-based, so Texas would go home with 3.75 because it's advanced farther than the other SEC teams. But when everyone asks, why doesn't Notre Dame join a conference? Why won't you join a conference, Notre Dame? You have to join a conference. Because they're getting $14 million for making the college football playoff and advancing thus far. And they get $200 and some million from NBC to host their home games. So why would they?
Unless there's some major money change, it would be really hard to see Notre Dame go anywhere because they're not going to make money hand over fist like they do.
Yeah.
As kind of unfair, not unfair, but it's just like it from looking at it where you could make your schedule any way you want. There's nothing holding you back your schedule other than other restraints from other conferences. But you put the schedule out like Notre Dame does, and you're just like, that's a bad schedule.
Yeah.
That's a bad schedule.
But once in a blue moon, everyone on their schedule's really good, and then it becomes a great schedule, right?
Yeah, it only takes like 15 years.
Right. Hey, 15 years is 15 years, bro.
Yeah.
A win is a win, no matter how bad. All right, Notre Dame, Penn State. Let's just go ahead and dive right into this since we were talking Notre Dame. Notre Dame knows who they are. Penn State's mucking about, figuring things out. However, Simeon, you've stopped recording.
What's going on? Maybe it's Riverside. You guys are good.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
But Drew Aller in the last, kind of the final two regular season games, Rob, the Big Ten championship game, and then the two games thus far, he's been really good here. So what's an X factor? Because I think we know these teams are very similar. Good defense, good running game, solid at quarterback. What's the X factor here for Notre Dame, Penn State? Or who?
As much as it is, I kind of think it's going to be special teams because Riley Leonard is going to run and throw. They're probably not going to let Drew run as much just because that's all they have. So he's going to run and just hand the ball off to Katron. And it's going to be the two-headed monster that it's always been between Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. They're going to use Warren. Notre Dame's defensive line, very good. Penn State's defensive line, very good. The secondary for Penn State is good, not great. Notre Dame secondary's good, not great. I think it's going to come second in the special teams. It's one kick return, one punt return, one muff kick, one muff punt, somewhere along the line. I mean, that's how it was for Notre Dame, Georgia. That game got blown wide open on that kick return for a touchdown right at the half. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's where it kind of lies. I think this is probably the most evenly matched game that we've had for the playoffs. I would say.
Yes, I also think it's going to, neither of these teams, this isn't going to be a 28-35 game. This is going to be a 19-12 game. Like, if this game ended 10-7, I wouldn't be surprised. It's going to be them kind of trying to figure each other out until one of them pops off for something. To me, I just think Penn State has yet to do anything in these big games. Yeah, I'm counting Boise State against you. You haven't done anything to impress me, so do beat Notre Dame and I'll say, okay, now you might be able to win the national championship just because, 50-50. But this is I'm going to make my pick now. This is a Notre Dame win, I think. Again, by a touchdown or by a score.
To your point, I think special teams, big X factor. However, you guys are looking at the wrong position on special teams. I'm going to go to the kicking. Mitch Jeter for Notre Dame, transfer from South Carolina, I believe, has been awful this year. Kind of putting it together of late. He's 11 of 18. Now, he did hit 3 field goals and was 3 for 3 against Georgia, but he was not good. He's perfect on extra points, and his long is 49. Let's go to Penn State. Ryan Barker, 14 of 17. Also made a long of 49, and he's 45 of 46 on extra points. So, X Factor special teams. That's another thing to look at is Notre Dame has struggled this year with field goal kicking. So,
yeah, well, I mean, you also have to remember he was out. And so his first real game back was last week's game. So who knows what he's doing? I mean,
Mitch Jeter?
Yeah.
Mitch Jeter's has played all year.
No, he hasn't.
Yes, he has. He played Texas A&M.
Get him.
Has
Get him.
his way back following October 12th hip injury.
October what? No, because so he did go out October 12th, but he's been back. Then Saturday he kicked it. He kicked a ball for FSU, and then he played in every game since then. So he did kind of struggle there for a little bit at the beginning of the season, but
November 18th.
He missed 2 against Northern Illinois. That was part of the problem. That whole team kind of fell apart. And then his first game back. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair, and we'll have to see how it goes. Maybe he, again, just irons some things
one
out.
Of 2 ways. He's either still injured and he's their best option, which would still shock me. That doesn't make sense to me. You guys have like 15 kickers on the team nowadays. Put a different guy in. Or he's going to be back to normal and it's going to be fine. I mean, I had to check to make sure Jeremiah Love was going to play too. He went out. He's set to play as well. Whether or not he stays playing this game is a different question. But, I mean, I don't know. Injuries. This is the most these kids have ever played before, too. We have to remember that. We're on game number 14 or 15 for some. So, injuries have to come into a factor here.
This will be game number 16 for Penn State and game number 15 for Notre Dame. However, are we making picks now? Are we making picks at the end of the talking? Or are you saving that till the end?
I mean, I don't even know what time we're at anymore because I had to refresh. So
I'm at a half an hour, and we did like 5 minutes before that. So I don't know.
So, I mean, it's up to you guys with what you want to do. We're more chill now.
So
people seem to enjoy it more.
So okay, then fine. Let's do it this way. Rob, Notre Dame, Penn State. Who you got?
As much as it pains me, I'm gonna go Penn State.
I'm gonna go Notre Dame just because they know who they are, and that's my only reasoning. I think that this is a coin flip game, and it is because I think it's only Notre Dame like -2, 1.5.
Yeah.
So
that's what I mean. It's one of those. You flip your coin and you say that's who I think it's going to be because you can't get more almost same team than this.
Yeah. I think it's in for an all-time classic. I wish it wasn't on a Thursday night. Like, why are we playing games on Thursday night?
NFL has to play games on Saturday now.
Put one of these games at noon. Put one Friday night and one at noon on Saturday because the NFL isn't playing any games at noon.
You want to know why? Because if one of these games was, the Rose Bowl, then one would have been at 5. Then they would have played them on the same day, one at 5, one at 8, and the Rose Bowl would have been at 8.
Yeah,
I bet you.
Well, I mean that's great, but
they're like because they're 2 semi East Coastal games. I mean, the Goodyear is kind of in the middle of Texas, but It's like it's still the East Coast. People
Yeah.
say it's the South. It's not the South. It's like the East Coast anymore.
College football on a Saturday. College football gets played on a Saturday. Play college football on a Saturday. I get it, they're bowls, but they get played on a Saturday. That's how this works.
The thing that will boggle my mind forever is why the national championship game isn't Saturday night.
Play it on a Saturday. College football is played on a Saturday.
Listen, as long as the NFL is still king, they make the rules, dog.
I understand that, but I think that they would still get viewers from the NFL.
Oh, yeah, they would. It would be hard, I think, if you go and you say, oh, you're going to have... I mean, obviously, the national championship is one thing, but to try and you put that on the same time as, like, divisional games and wild card games or a conference championship, like, that's tough. And, you know, the NCAA doesn't like to compete, and the NFL doesn't like to compete. That's what it is.
So do you want to watch the Chargers blow out the Texans, or do you want to watch the Ravens blow out the Steelers on Saturday?
Or do I want to watch
football, which gets played
or
on Saturday?
Let's go watch Georgia beat the piss out of TCU. Which do you want to do?
I mean, here's the deal. Like,
let's watch 7-5 Michigan play 10-3 Alabama.
Hey, that was a great game.
Yeah, by the grace of God, it was a great game.
It was an amazing game.
And that game was on at noon on a Thursday. So,
and you know what? I enjoyed every minute of it from the confines of my computer chair while I was putting orders in. So I enjoyed it.
It annoys me. These games should be on a Saturday or a Friday night, Saturday afternoon.
That's the other thing I don't fully understand, why they didn't put both these games on Friday night, one at 5 and one at 8, because it's Friday night, next game's day Saturday, so no one's going to bed early. Like I'm probably only going to watch the first half of Penn State Notre Dame.
NFL never is going to put a playoff game on at noon. I mean, they are, but they aren't. Like, play on a Saturday, they're not. Friday night, Saturday at noon. That's fine.
Yeah. No, you're right. Hey, listen, I've been saying this. We've been running college football. We should be running college football for a long time. Long time.
Lord knows the people in charge shouldn't. Okay. The big game, that is the question mark. What Ohio State are we going to get, and what Texas are we going to get?
Okay, so just real quick. In this timeline, Michigan still beat them as 3 touchdown underdogs. Is that right? Yeah, we're still in that timeline?
We're still in that timeline, yeah.
Somehow.
Great. So what's the line? Ohio State minus 6?
5.5.
5.5.
Wow, it drops from 6. Okay, great. So Ohio State minus 6.
It opened at 5.
I think that this game will be closer in the first half because Texas has been playing just as long as Ohio State, right? Like they played that first round, and I think part of the Oregon State was off forever, and Ohio State just got a running start at them. I think that was part of the problem in that game. At least that's what I'm going with. But Chip, as I said in my review, Chip Kelly and Ryan Day finally realized that they have Emeka Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith and have decided, hey, guess what? They're better than 95% of who they're matched up against. So why don't we just throw the ball? And that's what they've been doing. Outside of a long 66-yard Tredavian Henderson run in the Rose Bowl, Ohio State really didn't do much on the ground because they didn't have to, because they have Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka and G. Scott and all of these horses, and Cardell Tate, let's not forget him, on the outside doing work. And I don't think that changes. Texas' defensive line can go man-to-man with the offensive line. Ohio State, I think, will cool off eventually just a little bit. That's just statistics. You can't rev this high for this long. However, I have been wrong before, 2019 LSU. So I think it's going to be hard to run, but the secondary of Texas gives up points. We've seen that all year. Texas falls to sleep. Quinn Ewers, at some point, Sark will stop trusting Quinn Ewers to deliver accurate football and take away responsibility because he'll throw a really dumb interception or something like that. The running game probably won't work again because Ohio State has a great defense. And then Caleb Downs is just going to sit in the middle of the field and just do whatever Caleb Downs does because he's that good. So I think Ohio State runs away with this in the second half. This looks a lot like Clemson, Ohio State semifinal from 2020 where it was close at halftime, and then Ohio State just opened it up in the second half and blew them out. So I got Ohio State covering. That's my analysis of how this is going to go on Friday night. I'll be at Top Golf, and that's all that there is for that.
I don't even think this game's going to be close.
Not even for a half? Not even for a quarter?
I mean, it'll be close in the opening kickoff, but, it will not be all right. That is for sure.
No, because what has Texas done to prove to us so far this season with how hot Ohio State is that they can equally meet the challenge, right? That's my thing.
So the only way Ohio State throws us away is if they look at this and go, Texas has a really strong offensive or defensive line that they can stop our run game. And we want to prove that that we can do that. And they try to pull the same thing they did with Michigan, where they just tried to run it up the middle and everything like that, try to impose their will. And they leave Texas in it long enough to where they kind of run out of time and Texas just kind of wears them down and does their thing. But I don't see that. I see them coming out, Will Howard spinning the bean. It won't surprise me if Jeremiah Smith goes over 100 yards again, multiple touchdowns, if Ibuka gets another touchdown, because that Texas secondary minus one guy is just not good. Like, they've fallen way apart. I've never seen a defensive secondary go into a prevent and then go into even more of a prevent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I
don't.
The play calling both on offense and defensive for Texas, I don't understand at some points. Like, you're up 17-3 on Arizona State, and then all of a sudden it just becomes run that wasn't working, and short passes, and then Quinn throws an interception because it all on him. Oh, but then that wakes Quinn up, so then Quinn becomes Joe Montana, right, the last 5 minutes and in overtime, and just dots everyone up. But Texas is not this team that can just turn it off, turn it on. And more importantly, Ohio State is not the team you want to do that against. Not with how hot they are. Oh my goodness.
I mean, they got the greatest wide receiver in the country.
Yeah.
And I mean, if he keeps this up, yes, he's going to probably be the best wide receiver Ohio State has ever had.
Probably.
Here's my question, real quick.
It's hard to say no.
Here's the wideout conversation to me. 2023, for the 2023 season. Now, granted, these stats, I don't know. It's Wikipedia, guys, so grain of salt. 2023, Will Howard threw 61% for 2,600 yards, 24 TDs, 10 interceptions. He also rushed
at Kansas State.
State. 2024, Will Howard is at 72% with 3,400 yards and how many? 32 TDs and 7 more rushing. Is this all the wide receivers, or is Will Howard actually a good quarterback? Because
it's a combination of both. It's Chip Kelly's system. It's having wide receivers who are very good, know where they want to be, know where they're going to be, and I mean, they're always open in space. And then Will Howard's just had to make it easy. Other than the Michigan game, he didn't. And kind of the Penn State game, he didn't look too rushed doing anything. The offensive line has kept him pretty clean. It's very easy to make good throws when you're not under pressure.
And I think that's also a lot of credit should go to this O-line coach, because Ohio State's O-line was much maligned, especially the second half of the year. Outside of the Penn State game where there was a lot of question marks, and then they showed up and they really, ground out the last 6 minutes of that game and put that game to bed. Ohio State's offensive line has been up and down, and it was really down against Michigan. I think everyone recognizes that. But ever since then, and they haven't had a chance or had time to get healthier, against Tennessee, they were great. Against Oregon, they were phenomenal. And I'm expecting the same thing, pass protection wise, to be the same thing against Texas. I don't think Ohio State's going to be able to run the ball at will against Texas. Now watch them do it and run for 400 yards.
Yeah.
But I just like a lot of credit goes to that O-line coach over there at Ohio State.
I feel like Ohio State found the next gear, and Texas doesn't seem like they did. But that's my question: what Texas team are we gonna get? You guys already
You don't
answered
know.
it,
You don't know.
but and that's the issue. So this is why I'm gonna take it. It's pretty straightforward. Give me OSU minus the points. Honestly, I think this is if Texas keeps this close, I'm not saying it's going to be a runaway with it, but at the end, this game to me, the only reason Texas is keeping it close is you're going to be watching it. You're going to go, man, where's Ohio State's offense? Oh, there it is a little bit. Oh, there it is a little bit. Oh, there it is. And then it's just going to hit, and they're just going to do exactly what Robert said.
If you watch this game, and I'm speaking to the viewers, the listeners, if you watch this game Friday night, you will know the outcome after each team has had one drive. So after the first two drives of the game, right? Not if they get a turnover. After Ohio State has it on offense and after Texas has it on defense, you will exactly know what this is. If Ohio State goes down 7 points or whatever, and then Texas rolls 3 and out, it's done. It's over. Bet Texas, turn off the television, go to bed. If Ohio State gets 3 and out, and then Texas gets 3 and out, it's going to be close. And if Ohio State gets 3 and out and Texas goes down and score, Ohio State's going to win the game. That's how it's going to go.
So you just want to go ahead and copy from what I said last podcast about Ohio State and Oregon and just take Oregon out and put Texas in? Or,
yeah, I mean, it's same thing.
Because that's the formula.
Yeah, man, it's pretty much
the same thing.
Same thing, different team.
To me, the other game is going to be more interesting. Is going to be the Notre Dame Penn State game,
and that's the unfortunate part.
Yeah,
is because it's on Thursday.
Yeah.
Granted, I have off Friday, so I can at least watch it, the whole thing until I get sick of it, and then I just turn it off. But
we're all rooting for Texas, though, right?
Yeah.
Like fandom, we're pulling for Texas.
Rooting for Texas, but understanding the fact that Ohio State more than likely is going to win this game.
All right, so just let's do this up, right? Ohio State makes the national championship game. Against Notre Dame, I'm rooting for Notre Dame. Against Penn State, hope a meteor strikes at midfield at halftime. Like, what are we doing in this situation?
Because I will never root for Penn State.
So here's the
dude.
issue.
I have a hard time.
So like, I need like a terrorist attack that doesn't kill anyone to end the game.
Listen, regular season, I'll root for Ohio State versus Penn State. I really don't want Ohio State to get a national championship.
But here's the thing, though. When it comes down to it, I always want Ohio State at their peak. Always want them at their high peak, because then when they lose to Michigan, it is the most glorious thing, because now they're going to Ohio State wins the national championship, and it's like, oh, we're Ohio State, big bad Ohio State, we won national championship, and it's just like, you lost to a 3 touchdown underdog Michigan for the 4th time, but I always went like living in Pennsylvania, I hate Penn State, I hate their fan base, because Penn State hasn't won anything worth of relevance since their Big Ten championship in like 2008, 16, something, whatever. 15,
yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, it's been that long. And it's just been like, oh, we're Penn State. We're this big, great team. No. You can't beat Ohio State. You can't beat Michigan. You can't win the Big Ten championship. No, get going. You're not the big dog of the Big Ten. You're not even part of the Big Ten. Get out of here.
Give it to them if they can beat Notre Dame, because Notre Dame is de facto Big Ten school in my head still. So I will give them credit. I will say, all right, I will allow it if they somehow win the national championship. But you're asking them to win everything in order for you to give them any respect. And if I'm a Penn State player, your dog's eating something right now?
Yeah, I saw that. That's
totally squirreled me right out.
Yeah, it's just
That-
paper. It's fine.
Just trying to
just
unwrap
rip
her
it up.
Christmas present, you know?
She'll wrap it up. It's fine.
I need to wrap it up. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. We got off topic. I don't care. I'm just the comedic relief here, and I try to make points every now and again.
I mean, like, go Irish and hook 'em horns. That's all I gotta say.
I still wish Arizona State was here.
Everyone wishes Arizona State was here, but then we would have had to sit through Arizona State losing by 67 points to Ohio State. That would have been Georgia TCU. If it was Arizona State and Ohio State, it would have been Georgia TCU.
You know what my
100%.
favorite thing about this whole Penn State Ohio State thing is
Shout out
That
Cam
guy-
Scattaboo, by the way.
Scattaboo is a scatta dude,
Yeah.
and I'm so happy I came up with that. This whole rivalry thing. This is what my favorite thing about Penn State fans is. I was in a group chat with a bunch of them. I am in a group chat with a bunch of them. And Robert's just making noise. I'm trying to get through. And they're like, dude, you don't get it. Just don't get it. Michigan fans will self-destruct their own self and the Big Ten because they just say F Ohio State. And I'm like, yeah, this is what it's like to actually have rivalries. You don't want people to win, guys. I don't care that Oregon's in the Big Ten anymore. Welcome to football. I don't know what you guys been paying attention to for the past year, but we're in 2025 now. I don't care who's in them. If Ohio State goes 1-11, one of those losses better be to Michigan. If Michigan goes 1-11, the one win better be to Ohio State. When they play Notre Dame in 2028,005 again, the winner better be Michigan.
Yeah, so, sorry, Penn State fans, that your rivalry is Maryland and that you don't care
Temple.
about them.
Villanova. I don't have anybody to play in my state, so I have to go to one that's barely a state. We have to go to Maryland. I don't have any protected rivals, so I have to import them from California. The audacity! I have no rivals.
Well, that's what happens when you join a conference in 1980 and then just muck about and go
thought-
10-2.
They really thought they were Notre Dame. They were independent there for a while. That's why you don't let one guy run your school for like 55 years. No, granted, we did that like twice, so ignore me. But at least we won, you know?
True that.
All-time winningest school. Let's go, baby.
Where's my actual outro? We're leaving. I don't got anything else to talk about.
Well, wash your hands, you filthy animals. Enjoy your college football Thursday, and Friday night. We'll see you next week to get you prepared for the natty. So, Rob, have you just given up this season?
No. So, what was it, Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday. We did the teddy bear toss. So then I was gone like all fucking